And welcome to Nycu News. I'm your host, Patty Nash. Today we are going to talk about an exciting program starting in our schools right now, the One-to-One Computer Initiative. Here to tell us about it is Christine Bewley, manager of the district's Information Systems Department. Welcome, Christine. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Patty.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what a One-to-One Computer Initiative is?
So thankfully to our community and our parents, the referendum last February, the community voted to give us money to put a one-to-one initiative into the district. So what that encompasses is being able to provide wireless access across all of our buildings and a device for every student to use throughout the day, and also may have the opportunity to take those devices home.
So every student eventually will have their own computer?
Yep, in grades 3 through 12, every student will have their own computer to use during the day and possibly at home.
And I understand that you're rolling out the devices now.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a schedule as to when that's going to happen?
Yep. So right now, in the spring of 2016, where we are, grades 3, 6, and 9 will be getting devices to use. They'll be divided depending on the school, if they will be going home with the students at the middle and high school levels. Some schools have opted to do it in the spring. Starting in the fall, all devices will go home middle and high school. That's what we're anticipating. So students right now will be getting devices in grades 3, 6, and 9 over the next couple weeks.
Okay, great. And what device did the district select?
So the district has selected a Chromebook. What a Chromebook is, it is a laptop-like device. It has a keyboard for students to learn to type on, and we all know that that's very important, that students learn how to type, especially with the state test that has a typing component of it, so that was a big deciding factor. Mm-hmm. We looked at price, something that we can continue to maintain over the years and replace if necessary. We know and we anticipate things getting dropped and broken, and that has all been worked into our plan. It is a device that gives us the opportunity to access the internet. So Chromebook isn't a Windows machine or Apple machine. It runs on a Chrome browser, and it gives us a gateway to be able to work through the internet with the applications that the district will be using. One being Google Apps for Education, which will give us word processing, and also a learning management system called Schoology that we've partnered with the state on using, where teachers can put assignments online, and students can submit assignments to their teachers. They can take quizzes online. So the teachers are embracing the learning management system, Schoology, and able to produce work with their students throughout the day.
I met with a team, the third grade team at Marlbrook Elementary yesterday, and they're very excited.
Yes.
They went through the training, and as one teacher said, this really opens up the world to all of our students. And for many of our students, this is going to be their one and only computer that they deal with all the time.
Yeah.
So you did say that some of the students will be taking the Chromebooks home with them.
Yes. So the third grade Chromebooks will be staying at school for the time being. Middle and high schools, it's going to depend on the rollout plan of the school. So those principals have worked with their one-to-one technology teams in their buildings and have come up with a plan if they're going to use them in school or send them home.
And how are parents being informed about, the program that's coming and maybe what the family's responsibility might be in all of this?
Yep, so the district has put together many resources for the schools to utilize. We have documents called Care and Feeding. What do you need to do with your Chromebook? Don't leave it on a blanket. It doesn't get cold. It doesn't need to be wrapped up, or it doesn't need to be washed, so you don't need to wipe it down with anything
No
specific.
Windex on the
Windex on so a light wipe if needed. But so we put together resources for schools to utilize, and it's really up to the principal and the school's team that they put together. It became a very important aspect when we're rolling something out like this to have the support of the schools, and they've put together their teams of their core people who are going to work on this. So that communication is going to be coming out from the principal. Some may have parent information nights where they could come in if the devices will be going home. They'll be sending out additional information on what Google Apps for Education is and what the students can do with that, and if they'll be provided email addresses. We will be providing email addresses to high school students only. Some parents have concerns about internet access We follow the SIPA compliance, which is the Children Internet Protection Act. So all that information will be relayed to parents through the schools.
Okay. And some of the schools will be having some parent information nights. So parents, you can look for maybe a schedule at your school. And what are some of the benefits that we see or we anticipate the students will get from having their own computer?
So having a device for the students to use throughout the day and at home, if that's the route that school is going to take, they'll have 24/7 access to their work, to internet, to research. Even if they don't have internet access at home, they can still do homework on the device, word processing, Excel files, and when they return to school with their device, it'll sync back up. There are also some options if they don't currently have internet access at home through programs through Comcast. They have Comcast Essentials, which is a low-cost program that they can join and get internet. I think it's about $10 a month.
That's
they
right.
can have internet access at home for their students, but they can still benefit by the use of the computer, the typing aspects. You know, the goal is to be 21st century learners, and that's what this really will bring.
Well, and one of the benefits that some of the teachers talked about is that even though we don't teach to the test, that students will become more familiar. And so when they take the smarter test, they may be more familiar with taking a test on using a keyboard and using a computer.
Yes, it definitely relaxes students if it's a daily use that they're used to using. It definitely relaxes them when they go take the test, that it's a familiarity with using a device.
And really, I mean, this is what college has done for years in terms of their communications with their students. We're kind of bringing it down to our level, the K-12 level.
Yep.
And what are the benefits for the teachers have some benefits as well in terms of communicating with their students through Schoology and things like that?
So Schoology as a learning management system is a great resource for teachers. So you can differentiate your assignments. If you have a student who's a little far ahead, you can give them one assignment and give me a different assignment, but still be graded on the same rubric. Also, as students submit assignments, like if I submit a paper, my teacher can be sitting at home with her feet up in her slippers grading, and I can get instant feedback right back through Schoology about changes that I might need to make, or they may be able to offer additional resources. You might want to check out this web link to get more information about the research you're doing. So it gives that communication that they can then, if one student has a question, they can push that resource out to all students, so they might be able to look for that resource as well.
Okay. And you did mention it, but will it still be beneficial for students who don't have internet access at home?
Absolutely, and even more so, because if they don't currently have internet access at home and they're using the device in school, it gives them that resource that they don't have at home. They can still bring the device home and, like I said, do word processing, and if they need to type a paper, if they need to work on an Excel type document, and when it comes back into school, they can submit that back to their teachers. But again, there are some resources the device can connect to. If you have free Wi-Fi in your area, a lot of McDonald's, Starbucks, if in libraries, you can take your device there and connect to the Wi-Fi and do work that way as well.
Okay, great. It's a very exciting time. I'm sure it means a lot of work for your department to get all these devices out and up and running, and it's a very exciting time for Red Clay. Is there anything else that parents should know about the computers coming home? They should look for a letter or some communication from their school.
Yep, so they'll be getting information. Again, it'll be the grade level. So this year, it'll be grades 3, 6, and 9 that will be rolling out this spring. Starting in August, we will then add the next grade level. So the 3, 6, and 9 students will hand their device back in at the end of the school year. They will be reassigned that same device in August. So it's if they damage their device, they're going to get that same device back. So it's important that the students really take care of their devices. And then, so they will then be 4th graders, and the new incoming 3rd grade class will be assigned devices.
And it'll take, 3 years then for everybody to have?
Everybody grades 3 through 12. Yeah.
Okay, terrific. And the little ones, they're getting more carts, or?
So grades K to 2 was not part of the referendum, but what the district is looking at determining what device is the best device for the K to 2 students. It might not be a one-to-one at the K-2 levels. Research is showing us that it might be a 1-to-2. So you're not using it all day long, but you are pulling them out and working in small groups. So it might be a Chromebook, it might be a tablet. So we're still working on what that device is going to be. But as the Chromebooks are rolled out to the grades 3 through 12, it does have more resources that are currently in the schools that we can reallocate to K-2 until we determine what that device would be for K-2.
And I think we're probably anticipating that these kids, they seem so in tune to technology that they'll be able to just pick this up right away.
Yep. So we've talked to many districts before we decided on the device, and it really is the one. 51% of education right now using devices are using Chromebooks. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to use. You open it, it boots up in 5 to 8 seconds. There's very little lag time, and students have really taken to it and run. I mean, it's the device that they're grabbing to do their work in K-12 and higher ed.
And what we've said in Red Clay is that we're entering a 21st century learning environment here.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you so much for coming in today and letting us know. And parents, you can look for some information about the one-to-one initiative and when they'll be rolled out in your particular school. When we come back, we'll talk about some things that are coming up on the Red Clay calendar. So please stay with us. Thanks very much.
So if I had to give advice, to someone who's struggling through high school, someone who's not making it, value in education. Knowledge is power. Like, you need an education to do anything, nowadays, and it's so important. If people just have value in education and value a life, the whole dynamic of the world would change. My favorite teacher, a lot of people would go into high school. I'm going all the way back to 4th and 5th grade. My teacher, Miss Szymanski, and one of the most important things she did was we had this journal, a little composition notebook. And she made us do writing every day, at least an hour a day, I think it was. So, for someone that's going into English communications, I gotta say that's where it starts. What I would say to Miss Szymanski is, it seems corny and all of that, but honestly, thank you. You know what I
mean. Hello, welcome back to News You Can Use. Several things coming up on the Red Clay calendar. On Wednesday, March 2nd is SAT Day in the state, where all 11th graders take the test during school hours. On Thursday, March 10, is Family Author Night at Brandywine Springs School from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Red Clay Elementary Schools will be celebrating I Love to Read Month this month by hosting 7 nationally recognized authors. One author will spend a day at each elementary school. During the day, authors will present their stories and talk to students about the joys of writing and reading. Librarians, reading teachers, art teachers, and music teachers will build the excitement for the author's visit by reading stories, sharing the author's background, drawing related pictures, and singing songs with the students. But in order for families to share in this celebration, there will be this evening author night when all authors will participate. The program begins at 6:30 in the auditorium, followed by book signings in the lobby. Books will be available for sale, or you can bring your own books for signing. That's our show for today, but stay tuned because we have a special edition of Tech Time with Moy Velasquez, who's going to show you a Chromebook and some of the fun things that our students will learn and the ways that they can use the machine. So thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Hi guys, Moy Velasquez here, and you are watching Tech Time with Moy Velasquez. That's me, the show where we look at technology in the classroom.
Woo, technology.
Yeah. Anyways, what a great time to start this show. I mean, amazing.
It's lunchtime. You could have done this after lunch.
I didn't actually mean like the physical time. I meant like with all that's happening within our school district.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, for those who don't know, the referendum was passed here at Red Clay, and the students are getting a one-to-one technology system. This means that every student will receive a Google Chromebook to take home and carry throughout the entire year. This is going to be a huge advancement in the way kids learn, and it's going to facilitate the learning process so much. So without further ado, let's take a look at this Chromebook.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the world heavyweight champion. Me and the boys, we gonna keep on rocking. Is that all right? Now check this out.
The district actually went with the Acer C740, and for good reason. It was actually designed for education design. So here we go. We've got some power cords, some user manuals, in case you guys love reading. Now it's important to say that this is not a laptop. It is in fact a Chromebook. It does not run Windows. It actually runs Chrome OS, which is Google's operating system. It's pretty sleek. It weighs about 2.5 pounds, which is just a little bit more than the iPad Pro. And it's so sleek. I mean, look at it. Batman would definitely use it. And I mean, I could imagine myself roaming the halls of my school, rocking this thing all day, every day. Those would be the days.
Stop daydreaming, get back to the show.
Anyway, Acer actually made this Chromebook thicker than their previous version, which is weird considering all the other devices are actually getting thinner. However, this device was designed with education in mind. They've actually made this model a lot sturdier, and it's a high quality device, and it sure feels like it could take a beating. That being said, try not to break it. Taking a look around, it's got some pretty usual ports. Headphone jack, 2 USB ports, an SD card reader, and interestingly enough, an HDMI output, which is pretty awesome if you ask me. You can easily hook it up to an external monitor and get a beautiful image. Now, the screen on this isn't the best. It's a 11.6-inch display, but for what most people will be doing, it's more than enough. You're honestly getting a pretty good product. Moving right along, let's talk about the internals. These things have Intel's new 5th generation Broadwell chips. They provide users with a huge boost in performance, battery life, and graphics. It's running at 1.5 gigahertz, which means it's pretty fast.
How fast?
Really fast. That actually has 4 gigs of RAM and 16 gigabytes of storage. So what features about this device make it stand out from every other one on the market? Well, for starters, it's based off Google. And Google as a company has put in so much time and money into education and devices that go hand in hand. This device is a perfect example of all that time and research. So let's look at why this device is the right one. For starters, let's boot it up with our current Mac here and see just how fast it is. Now this Mac is the one we actually use for most of the editing here. It's a 2.8 gigahertz 15-inch MacBook Pro. Now, here we go. We're gonna power as soon as you open this, it kind of just powers on. So we're gonna give this one a bit of a head start. Here we go. Here they go. 3. Look at that. It's booted up. And it left my Mac in the dust. So this feature alone is a great reason why this was chosen. The teachers saved so much instructional time by not taking 20 minutes to boot up and log in. Second, it has its own built-in virus protection. That's right, no need to go out and buy third-party virus protection, install it, and do it all again in a couple of months. Thirdly, the device updates itself, which means it'll always have Google's latest firmware. Your device will run nice and smooth.
Like a new car.
Yes, like a new car. If you've ever used Google Docs or Sheets, you know that you never have to hit save. The device automatically saves your documents as you work. That means that if your device were to die, your document would still be saved. But that's rarely going to happen considering the battery life on these things is tremendous. 8 to 9 hours actually, and I can vouch for that as I've been using it for the past couple of days. Going off of that cool feature, Google realizes that you might be somewhere where you don't have internet access, and they have done it so you can still access your documents and make changes even when you're on the go. And yes, the autosave feature still applies. I can't tell you how many times that's burned me in the past. The last and possibly the most advanced feature is the ability to share files without any hesitations. You can easily forward your English paper over to your teacher. She can grade it while she's at her kid's ballet recital. It completely gets rid of the dog ate my homework excuse.
I used to love that excuse.
So did I, but the times are changing, and now it's probably gonna be like a virus wiped my hard drive. Now, if the students are working on a group project together, they can easily share files with one another in real time and eliminate the hassle of having to go over each other's houses. especially if one of them can't get a ride or is away with the family for the weekend. I've actually used this feature to check a friend's Spanish paper. Although he was miles away, all he had to do was share a project with me. I could easily add comments or highlight grammatical errors. Just a relatively short time ago, that would require so much additional work. And now it's simple. Now, I know that a lot of parents might be thinking about the negative aspect to all this technology, and it's understandable, but we have to look at the positives. Learning is going to improve. It facilitates learning from both the teacher and the student. It increases workflow, and it opens so many doors. Many people will agree with me that we have to progress, otherwise we'll get left behind in our ways. Well, it sure is good to see that the referendum is going to have awesome results for our students here at Red Clay. Thank you for tuning in to today's show of Tech Talk with Moy Velasquez. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Educational TV to see exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and be sure to comment your ideas for future shows. Until then, I'm Moy Velasquez, and I'll see you next time.